This is a Glassbox Media podcast.
Edition of My Worst Date. I'm Cassie.
I'm Keegan.
I'm Christina.
And we have things to talk about today. First and foremost, Christina, you mentioned something called West Elm Caleb.
I am actually so shocked that you guys have not seen anything about it, because this is been the tea, the drama, the whole ass mess, like all week on TikTok.
We're talking. I have been in a book bubble where like I have done nothing but like work and read books. So I haven't been on TikTok as much. I literally had to, because I do love TikTok.
Yeah.
I like scheduled time yesterday where I was like, you're going to scroll on TikTok and see what you've missed. But I haven't seen anything about West Elm Caleb.
Okay. All right.
Let me know. Fill me in.
Okay. So it's kind of like the new couch guy situation, which you guys remember couch guy?
Oh, yes. Yeah. Okay. Mm-hmm.
So basically, like, this influencer, like, does this TikTok about being ghosted by a tall guy named Caleb. And her fucking comments go bananas. Is this West Elm Caleb? Is this West Elm Caleb?
No.
And she's like, who the fuck is West Elm Caleb?
No,
Is he a serial ghoster?
So, another
no.
influencer that follows her is like, let me tell you about West Elm Caleb.
Oh my gosh.
Give it
I
to
am
me.
settled in. I got the popcorn out. Let's go.
Tell me
Apparently,
everything.
This dude is 25 years old. He is called West Elm Caleb because his name is Caleb and he's a designer for West Elm. And he is like, he's tall, he's got a mustache, and he's on Hinge, and he's in New York City, and he's love bombing the shit out of girls.
Oof.
Like, love bomb. I made this Spotify playlist for you.
No.
Spoiler alert, he sends the same playlist to all the
No.
girls.
No.
Okay.
Oh, I'm so
he's
mad.
like, sends Spotify playlist, sends unsolicited dick pics,
No.
hooks up with the girl, and then ghosts. And so, like,
That's so much work.
this
Bruh.
this influencer was saying, like, she went on a date with him at 3:00 that day. Someone else made a TikTok that was like, I spent Friday night and woke up Saturday morning in bed. She went on a date with him Saturday at 3:00. Like, this is how quick his turnaround
So
is.
he literally like rolled out of bed, took a shower, probably in that chick's shower.
Oh, God. Please,
and then met
please
up
tell
with
me
this
he took a
other
shower.
girl. Oh my God. Yeah, I'm being really optimistic over here.
That's
really
right.
optimistic.
So the whole thing is like blown up on TikTok. Everybody is coming for West Elm. Like, it's kind of, listen, it's shitty what he's doing, but like, he has had to remove himself from LinkedIn. He had to take down his portfolio. He is gone from social media. He has been scrubbed because literally all of TikTok, like an entire army, coming for West Elm Caleb.
Listen,
honey.
I am of two minds about like internet vigilante justice, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's not great. However, actions have consequences, and you don't get to just run around treating people like shit and
That's
expect nothing to come back to you, nothing
It's
to
like
stick to you.
That fucking Jason Collier saga
Yeah.
or whatever.
Sorry.
You can't be buying bitches coffee makers and expect
Those other coffee maker bitches to not know.
Exactly.
You thought you could have 19 fiancés
No.
and none of this ever boomerang back and hit you in the face? Sorry.
No.
And
That's not how this works.
in the time of our internet.
This isn't like 1856 where you can like move the next town over and start a
Correct.
new life. Like, the internet exists.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
I definitely listen. I feel the same way as you do, Keegan, where I'm just like, this guy, it's shitty. And I'm like, his world is rocked for at least until the next, next trend comes, the next person. But I just can't imagine what that would feel like. Do you know what I mean? Where it's just like the whole fucking world is coming for you. Wow.
You know what? I feel worse for a couch guy than I do for this guy. Like, this guy very obviously has been manipulating women. And to be honest, I'm, again, like, I don't love a hive mentality, like like villagers with pitchforks kind of mentality.
Right.
However, maybe this prevented him from escalating to like worse manipulation of women. We've seen it go far, right? Like I sent you the trailer to that like Tinder Swindler trailer on Netflix. Like, there are dark places that this can go.
Right.
Whereas with Couch Guy, I'm like, that was all like very much pure speculation. And having your life rocked over like a 10-second video is a little like,
I watched that way too many times. I gotta say,
I watched it slowed down. I watched it zoomed in.
I was like, oh, like, what is he got a hair tie on his wrist? I was like, oh no,
he don't need a hair tie.
A hair tie.
Couch guy don't need a hair tie. I see his haircut.
Yeah,
but yeah, I mean, he actually wrote an opinion piece about what that was like for him, and I do have empathy for like the entire internet using you as like an outlet for whatever,
right?
That sucks. However, this guy, I mean, it sucks, but it's also like you reap what you sow, sir.
Yeah.
You can't put that's karma, honey.
Yeah. So people are definitely like putting up now. It's to the point where they're like, who's the West Elm Caleb of LA and who's the West Elm Caleb of Minnesota and stuff like that.
Some man who does yoga with a man bun is out here breaking hearts in LA.
I think it's that dude with the tacos, right? Because weren't there like people were like, oh yeah, that dude did that to me too. I know this. Yeah.
Taco guy.
100 tacos. Yeah.
But you know what? Like, at least Taco Guy, like, he's doing it for the tacos. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like he's not trying to like
that's true
break hearts because he's not putting any effort into those dates, like to make people think
Spotify
that he loves
playlist
them.
for that bitch.
No, he is in it for 200 hard shell tacos. Like that's
the end.
That's his get.
So yeah, I figured, especially since you guys didn't know about it, I was like, I definitely need to enlighten you as to what is going on.
Yeah. Oh wow.
These days.
What is West Elm's opinion?
Yeah, West Elm's probably like, you're fired, bruh. Like, we can't be having our name attached to this.
Dude, the brands have been advertising. There was like, because he's on Hinge, there was a rival dating app that put up a fucking billboard in New York with his Hinge profile in it.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
No.
And a fucking billboard. Someone took a picture of it and they were like, don't want to run into West Elm Caleb, like join our
shit.
Yeah. How fucking bananas is that if you're that dude?
I feel like he could take legal action against that company.
I mean, he really can't. You agree to the terms and conditions when you sign up for the app, you know?
Oh.
So, yeah.
I can't believe Hinge couldn't go after him, though.
Yeah. I don't know.
I mean, are you allowed to take photos from
Hinge?
That's
true.
You know
that's
what I
true.
mean?
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow.
You got to act right, man. I'll tell you what.
Right.
We are constantly being filmed and surveyed these days. And like Keegan said, actions have consequences.
Yeah, on the internet, for sure. You do. You got to act right. Like, yeah, keep on that straight and narrow.
Yoinks. Wow.
What else we got, ladies?
Well, we got an email from a listener that I wanted to share with you guys. And it says, "Hello, wonderful humans. My name is B. I use she, her, and they, them pronouns. I'm queer, in my late 20s, work as an adjunct professor, and I'm from New Jersey. I've been listening to y'all for 3 years."
Wow.
Oh, gee, worsty. Welcome. Yes. I've been drafting this email in my brain for months, to be honest. I know this isn't specifically about worst dates, but I would really love to hear y'all discuss friendships, specifically friendships between women and or friendships in adulthood. I've struggled with making friends and keeping friendships my entire life. In school, I'd make friends out of convenience, like the people I saw in class every day, had had a few friends that I stayed close with over the years. And in college, I kept a close circle of people I mostly knew through my partner at the time or folks I worked with at my part-time job. Throughout my life, I've even had a few close friendships ended in similar ways to romantic breakups, crying, angry texts, trauma, etc. Over the years, my friendships have really dwindled. Currently, most of my, quote, friends are people I know through my partner. Side note, you don't have to include this if you want to, but I think it's important to her story. I recently was diagnosed with autism, what would previously have been referred to as Asperger's, but we now know that the Asperger's, the founding doctor, is an absolute dickwad. Anyway, that definitely is one of the reasons I have struggled with some of the social connections throughout my life. Overall, I think making new friends as an adult is challenging itself. Considering work-life balance, partners and significant others, family, et cetera, that's why I'd really like to hear about your experiences and perceptives about these topics. Friendships are relationships that are as important as romantic relationships. I know y'all aren't an advice podcast, but I really value your input. Thank you so much for making me feel less lonely during some of the most challenging times of the last few years. Y'all are doing great things.
Aw,
sweet.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Wow, that's actually, it's a topic that, it kind of is the cornerstone of our podcast. I feel like if we had, a mission statement, it's really kind of been like, keep your friends close and laugh about these bad date stories. For me, I have definitely in my life been in the same situation. I didn't have close friends in school. I didn't have close friends in my 20s. And it really wasn't until Cassi forced me to be her friend.
I'm a sneaky little bitch.
That it opened me up to friendship. I'm still relatively new to the friendship I don't know what I'm trying to say, to friendship myself. And I've learned a lot, in the past 5 years. And I'm so grateful to Cassi and Keegan for all that they've taught me. But being an introvert, sometimes it is difficult for me to make close friends because I shut myself off. So,
yeah. I think that you're not the natural conversation starter. And I think that we've talked about this too. And I think that she made a valid point, which is that she's got a lot of her relationships, her friends, or connections from her friends. And I think that happens a lot because I think in relationships with partnerships specifically, I think you have one person who's probably the outgoing one who's making friends with everyone, and maybe one who's a little bit more reserved, not as much of the chatty one or whatever. I think that's kind of
unless you're me and Anthony, in which case it's
right. Well, and that's and you guys kind of fluctuate. Like definitely there's times in which Tony's definitely the more outgoing person and then you're more laid back. I think you guys tend to, there's like an ebb and flow with you guys in that.
Yeah. I mean, for me, like I've never had trouble making friends. Like I've always needed that. It's because it's something that I've needed. So anytime I go into a new environment, I don't like being on my own. I'm not a loner in a group environment in that way. So anytime I was in school or went to camp or started a new job, I would immediately try and like scan the room for like who's the person that I can
the
be
friendly face
friends with, right? And like our good friend Amy, my best friend Amy, we met the first day of our job. And immediately I was like, this is the one. You know what I mean? Like we're gonna, be friends. So I've never had trouble. Very few times in my life have I had trouble making friends. And during those times, it was dark for me. I worked a job once where I couldn't get in. Like I just couldn't get in. I couldn't find a way in. And it was like horrible. I actually ended up leaving that job not long after because I cannot live that way.
Right. I've had that same experience as well. Yeah.
Right. It's really hard. But for me, I fall hard for my friends. And so I completely related to what she was saying when you're breakup from a friendship feels like a romantic breakup, right?
Yeah.
Like if I'm in deep and I'm like committed to you as my friend. And so,
well, I feel that way too, just because it's like, it's so hard for me to open up. And it's like, you know, like when something like that happens, it feels deep. It feels as deep as a breakup, if not even more.
Sometimes worse.
Sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes worse. Yeah. And so as far as making friends as an adult goes, I know it's hard. It's very, very difficult. The best thing that I can say is the same way that I kind of feel about dating. It's like you have to put yourself out there. You have to be vulnerable, which is something that's very scary to do. Because like we said, like some of those friendships are relationships that are as deep and meaningful as romantic relationships. So you have to be equally as vulnerable going into those relationships. And then you have to put yourself in uncomfortable situations. You got to go out, maybe like try and find a hobby. Like, you know, you will meet people through doing something that you enjoy and, you know, find people with mutual interests.
Same similar passions. I think the other thing is too, is that there's this I think fallacy amongst women relationships in which that you can have one best friend.
Yeah.
And then you can have some superfluous other girlfriends. But I don't think that's the case. I think that in my experience, that actually has driven wedges in relationships more than created some of my best relationships, which I feel like I'm really experiencing now, which is that I have a group of girlfriends in which, I mean, all of us, we are in a group chat. We are all, you know, we engage with each other all a lot, but there's times in which I hang out with Keegan and I. We went to you know, Vegas. I, you know, was looking through pictures and I'm like, oh my God, there's so many pictures of Keegan and I because we have those like one-off experiences. Or I have pictures of just Christina and I because we've done a couple things. I have pictures with just Mackenzie and I because we went over to their house for something that was just the four of us. So I think that the idea that you can only have one singular best friend that is surrounded by like a group of like second besties or something, like you shouldn't level them. It's not
a MySpace
we commonly do.
top 8. Yeah, it's not a MySpace top 8. We believe in a polyamorous friendship model. Okay?
Yes, yes.
Exactly. And I do because every person is unique in what they offer to you, and what you offer to them is different. What I offer to Cassi is different than what I offer to Christina, and likewise, you know, for them to me and to each other. So like it's all kind of like part of a whole. And we are very lucky to have a group of girlfriends where we do kind of like have that, like, is symbiotic the right word? We have that relationship where we all kind of like work well together and separately and in different pairings. And we're very lucky that we have that and that we were able to kind of find that. I think that is very rare. But yeah,
and it does happen kind of organically. And I think that it does end up kind of making some people feel left out when you have a really, really large group of people. You know, that's something that you'll experience, but that's just something that there's something that naturally happens. It's hard you can't force it. And I think that right now, the way that things have been has forced us to become, our bubbles had to have become much tighter. They've had to become much smaller. So it's forced us to kind of whittle down to the ones that it's like, this just works. It's like a puzzle piece. It all fits. It works. It's not hard. You don't have to try. It's the same thing with a partner, right?
If you're looking to, like, right now, she's saying that a lot of her friends are connected to her partner.
I was about to comment on that as well.
Which is fine, but then think of the other areas in your life. If you're an adjunct professor, you know, strike up a conversation in the teacher's lounge or something like that. If you enjoy pottery making, find a Facebook group that does meetups where they make pottery and stuff. Like, really, I think part of the thing that's been fulfilling about friendship to me is like, yes, it's opening yourself up to other people, but it's also opening yourself up to yourself. If you're doing things that you're passionate and happy and excited about doing, whether that's your job or hobbies or your partner or whatever, people are attracted to that. People are attracted to knowledgeable, passionate, happy people. So if you're out there in the world doing stuff that makes you happy and makes you passionate, and you strike up a conversation with somebody, it could lead to something more like friendship. But Cassi, Keegan, and our journey started 15 years ago when I met Cassi because she dated one of my coworkers. And I would say it really wasn't until around 6 years ago or so that we got
I did your hair for your fucking wedding, and we were never like besties. But because Chris was friends with that, and that's kind of how Chris was friends with your husband at the time, or before they, so there was that connection too. So that was through our partners that we became friends. But we became friends, and I am somebody who, I'm like you, Keegan. I want the more people, the better. The more, the merrier. I want all the fucking friends. Sign me up, friends. Check. I'm in.
Yeah.
So for
Cassi,
I did
relentless.
I was,
which is great. When
I
she
reached out
moved
to you
out
and was
here
like, "Who's doing your hair for your wedding?" I am.
Yeah, I'd say of the three of us, Cassi is the most like I need friends and I seek friends out, but like Cassi is the most for sure. Other thing
that's just it, Keegan. I'm just the most.
Just the most, period.
Period. Full stop.
The one other thing that I would say is, obviously, like, me and my partner share a lot of friends. Like, we share a lot of friends, and that's wonderful, and there's nothing wrong with that. But you bringing it up indicates to me that, like, you're seeking something beyond that. And I actually think that is healthy to have your own people who, your friends are your friends. But I also understand that feeling of, like, I want something that's mine. Like, I want to know that, like these people are mine, and
it's part of making you an individual. Because sometimes if you are part of a couple and all you're hanging out with are couple friends, then I always felt like it makes me lose my identity. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I become Christina and Eric instead of Christina.
Yes.
That's right.
So having your own friends outside of the couple will help you in your relationship in the long term, because it will help you keep your sense of identity.
Right. You have different interests, right? You're an individual.
Yeah.
Like, Anthony has an entire group of friends who are soccer friends. Like, and I get along with them and we go out, and that's great. But those are his soccer friends.
That's right.
You know what I mean? And I just, I think it is important. Like, something I've very much struggled with since getting married is feeling a loss of, like, my individual self and my independence. And it's very, very, like, it can be a very hard thing to deal with, right? So having people you can go to who you really trust, I think, is really important. And not to say that, those aren't also your partner's friends. Like, maybe they are, but, like, my relationship with, Cassi and Christina, we're all friends, but I know that, like, you're Anthony's friends, but you're my friends. You know what I mean?
Yeah. When it comes down to it, we're your friends. Yeah. I mean, we like Anthony. We put up with him, but.
Well, that was a wonderful question. Thank you so much for writing in. I know that was a lot.
And for listening. I mean, for 3 years, like, write us more. We'll be your friends. We've made friends through this podcast.
Oh yes, we have.
Shouting out to Rachel, shouting out to Laura Lee, shouting out to a lot of the people that have kept up on the Facebook group and everything. It's just, there's
Kim.
Recommend.
Reach out if you haven't joined our Worsty Facebook group or whatever. Reach out on there. That's a good group of people, and they would love to welcome you with open arms. So definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, speaking of that, we have some new patrons that we need to shout out. So I want to give a big thank you to Kevin Lynch for joining us on Patreon.
Yes.
So Kevin, and this is something I kind of want to highlight as well. With every patron level that we have, there's the option to just go ahead and buy it for the entire year. You can do an annual kind of subscription. And if you do that, then you save a couple bucks on whichever like patron level you end up joining on. And so that is what Kevin did. And thank you so much, Kevin, for joining us on Patreon. We are so, so happy to have you. And also, I want to give a big thank you to Sarah Bickford. She joined, and there's a little pound symbol next to her donation level. So she's from across the pond. Thank you so much, Sarah, for joining us on Patreon. We love having you. Like we said, we have the best listeners. We truly, truly do.
Literally, in my head, when I visualize success for the podcast, I visualize doing a live show in London. Like that to me is like, looks like we made it.
Sarah, if you have any connections, please hook us up. when we get out of this hellhole and we're able to actually do shows again.
Listen, we were just asked, somebody was like, can you please do a live show in New York? I'm like, oh, I wish.
If only. I would love to do at the Bell House. Can you imagine?
Oh my
Incredible.
God.
Anywhere, honestly. Right now, I would do a fucking podcast. I would do a live show in my
someone's
parents'
basement,
house in Columbus,
please. Right? Exactly. Do you have an open, finished basement? Preferably finished.
Actually,
if it's partially finished, we could make it work. Okay,
like a romper room.
Oh,
We're
totally.
fully prepared to do a show in a romper room.
Well, who are we going to fuck, marry, kill this week?
Oh, Keegan, go ahead. You brought this to us.
Oh my. So I saw the ad for the halftime show. And listen, I could not care less about football. I try. My whole family loves football so, so much. And I try so hard. And I just don't care. But I will tell you what I care about. And that is the Super Bowl halftime show. Always into it.
Yep.
So I saw the ad. It's a 3-minute long trailer for the halftime show, which is going to be in Los Angeles. And it is Dr. Dre, Eminem, Kendrick Lamar,
Snoop Dogg,
Mary J. Blige, and Snoop Dogg. I know this is the best lineup I think I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's going to be so good.
Ever seen. It's going to be. I can't even wait to see what they do.
Dude, I'm so excited. And let me tell you, if the Bengals make it into the Super Bowl, I mean, honestly, it's literally like my I don't know.
Yeah.
It's for you. Like the Super Bowl is for Cassi Young Paxton completely. Like if it's like the Bengals and that lineup,
yes!
Stop.
I swear to you, if they don't rename the stadium CYP or the bowl, it's no longer called the Super Bowl. It's like now it's like the college bowls where it's like
the CYP
my worst
bowl.
state podcast bowl.
Oh my God.
But I was thinking we should pick from those people. I know we've done a few of them before. We've done Kendrick before. We've done Snoop Dogg before.
Yep.
Not Dr. Dre though.
We've never done Dre. I don't think we've ever done Mary J.
Or Eminem.
Oh,
there you go.
There you go. Okay. I like it.
I know exactly what I'm going to do, actually.
Okay. Go for it.
So I used to be fucking obsessed with the Mary J. Blige song that's in Waiting to Exhale. Is it was your lover and your secretary working every... Oh my God. I would go around singing it into a hairbrush, and I mean, I would sing it like I felt it, even though
you didn't know what love or
12 at the time. Yeah. But I was like feeling it from like my past lives or something.
Yeah.
I love Mary J. Blige so much. I'm going to marry her 100%, 100 times yes. I think she is a boss bitch. I think she's so fucking incredibly talented, and I would give anything.
She's sexy as hell.
She's so hot.
Oof. Yes. Yeah. Oh God, she's stunning. She looks incredible. Like, oh my God.
Now, in terms of fucking, I gotta be honest. I am not super stoked on either of my options. They don't seem like a great time.
No.
I just there's something about both of them where I'm just like, Dr. Dre, I respect both of them. I think they're very talented individuals and everything, but Dr. Dre, after watching that documentary, he just seems very focused on his
He's
work.
intense.
Yes,
He's
very
married,
intense.
married to his job. He's very intense.
Yeah.
And same thing with Eminem. He's got an intensity that's a little scary.
It's a little scary,
Yeah.
but I think that
Yes. That's
I
look
think-
for one
I-
night.
look,
I think I got to do Eminem for
Yeah.
one
Yeah.
night.
you gotta,
Yeah.
you gotta do it.
Because he also, like, his lyrics and stuff like that show a sense of humor and a playfulness, too. So, yeah.
Right, like I'm gonna fuck Eminem. I'm not gonna fuck Slim Shady. Do you know what I mean?
Fact.
Yeah.
Like Slim Shady was like a scary
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
motherfucker. Like he had a lot of rage that
Yeah.
like I feel like I don't want to get close to. But Eminem has a maturity about him.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I feel like I could get behind it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
That's going to be fun.
think I know what I'm going to do then, too.
Okay.
But
All right.
I am going to marry Dr. Dre.
Okay.
As soon as the lineup was set, I'm like, Dr. Dre is, dude, boss vibes. He
Get
is,
that Beats by Dre money.
Oh, he got money on money on money on
his
money.
money's got, yes, his money's got money. His money's
He's
got
building.
money.
He's building schools.
Yes.
And shit. He's got
Yes.
school building money.
Yes, and he is putting it back into his community, and I
Yeah.
fucking live for that shit.
Yes.
He's not just throwing a few dollars into some kind of like foundation or something that somebody else built. He is building shit, and
Yep.
I fucking respect the hell out of that.
Mhm.
And I respect the hell out of it being in his own community. It's not
Mhm.
just like a broad picture of like I just have so much respect for what he's done in his career. He's good as shit. He's so fucking talented. My God. Like what he puts together is just
He
a
always-
mind like that.
He strikes me too as somebody that has a lot of integrity,
Yeah.
and that's sexy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, totally. I agree. So I'm going to marry Dr. Dre. I am going to fuck Mary J. Blige.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Because that's what I mean, are you fucking serious?
Luxury.
Like
That is a luxurious fuck for sure. Like
yes.
it's all
Hey,
yeah. Mhm.
it's
Oils.
comfortable. It's
Yeah.
You're going to be
You
on
are
the
cozy.
softest of pillows.
Someone
Oh.
is bringing you breakfast in the morning. It won't be Mary J, but someone is bringing you a tray with
I might do
exactly what you want.
I might do it just for that. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I love a good breakfast in bed.
Uh-huh.
like sign me up. We're gonna have champagne, the best champagne.
Oh yes.
Oh God.
Oh,
It's-
yeah.
It's gonna be lovely.
Uh-huh.
Eminem. It's a no for me, dog.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep. I
Pass.
completely understand. Okay. So I'm going to do exactly what Christina did. I'm going to marry Mary J. Blige. You know how much I love a shared closet.
Mm.
And not only do we get a shared closet with all the faux furs and like anything that you could want, but also she is going to give me the best weave. She's going to take me to her weave doctor. I'm going to have the best hair.
Yes.
Like we're going to get our nails done together. It is going to
Oh.
be just fantastic. And she can fly us anywhere too. Like we're going to travel.
Yes.
Like I think it's a beautiful future with Mary J, right?
Mm-hmm.
I am going to fuck Eminem. Wouldn't want to be with him long term
No.
at all.
One night is fine.
Yeah, yeah.
And plenty.
Yes, yeah. And like, it's hard for me because I'm like, being a feminist and also a lover of hip hop, it presents sometimes a difficult when you
Definitely.
look back on some of the lyric choices that were made.
Yeah.
A lot.
That
lot.
makes it quite difficult. However, I do think a night with Eminem would be transcendent. Like I think that he's
I feel like you're putting a lot on this night.
well, he's just so like his brain, his mind is like genius. Like the way that he is able to, yeah. I just think that he is such an incredible rapper, and yeah. So I am gonna fuck Eminem.
Okay.
And as much as I respect Dr. Dre, I just feel like he scares me a little bit.
He'd forget you were here. He'd be like,
Yes.
"Oh, just go up to my room real quick. I just got to finish this thing.
I got to wrap this thing up. And also, like,
Never
there
gets
is
wrapped
something
No.
about, like, the intensity of Dr. Dre that is scary to me. And, like, same with Eminem. Like, they both have an intensity that I feel like is a little bit frightening.
Yeah.
But Dr. Dre, I think, is maybe a little less lighthearted. And I feel like I would just always be uncomfortable. Like, I'd always be like, are you mad at me? Are you mad at me? It's like, he's not mad at you.
Oh, no. I'm already that way.
I just feel like I'd constantly be like thinking he was mad at me. And it's just because like he's thinking about the 110 million things he has to do and he has resting bitch face. And so I would just be like terrified all the time. So I can't.
But imagine the friends. You'd have so many fucking rad friends. You'd know everyone.
With all these people though, I feel like you would have like
That's true.
just the best.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean,
like-
Dr. Dre is from LA, which is we
Love
like.
to see it.
Yeah.
You know, I love it. You know,
I
live
would
for the
definitely
city.
would not want to move to Michigan.
Ugh.
Oh God, no. Does Eminem still live in Michigan?
I don't know. I
No
don't know
offense
what he's
to
doing.
no offense to our listeners who live in Michigan at all. I just don't want to be cold. That's all that is.
Exactly. It's like when it dips below 60 here, I'm like, I should just die right now. It's too cold.
I'm going to cancel
Literally-
life. I'm done.
Literally, it was like 65 degrees yesterday, and I turned on the fire and laid on the floor, like on my rug next to the fire. Like I was like, oh, winter.
Cozy. It's so true, though. That is so winter vibes. Oh, man. Woo.
Well, you guys want to take 5 and we'll come back with stories?
Sounds good.
Yes.
Cool.
And we're back. All right, Cassie, I think you have the first story.
I do. So I got the story from Reddit. It says, met up with a guy I'd been chatting with online. He rode up on a bicycle with a huge backpack on. He looked at least 10 years older than in his picture.
Stop doing that.
He said he had to carry all of his shit with him because the junkies that he was crashing with on the couch would steal it.
Oh, no.
I had driven an hour to where he was since it was a nicer town. And
I'm sorry to interrupt, but can we just, I feel like after however many years we've been doing this podcast, it needs to be said, you need to vet this person before you drive an hour.
Amen.
We got to stop driving an hour
Yeah.
for disappointing dates because that has happened so many times. And I'm like, driving an hour is fine, but only if you're like, I really feel like there's potential here.
Yes.
We've been on the phone every night since 5 till 5 in the
Yes.
morning, that kind of thing.
Y'all are wasting gas
Yeah.
and time.
Yes.
Stop
She-
it.
Yeah,
was
we
like-
got climate change to worry about.
That's right. She's like, and I wanted to at least have a good meal. So we carried on. She was like, all right, I'm going to go to the city. It's an hour away, but I'm going to have a nice meal. That's where her
She
head
just
was
wanted
at.
to go to the city. That's acceptable. That's
okay,
fine.
exactly. During dinner, he told me that he had a daughter that he hadn't seen in 7 years and showed me a picture of her like a super proud and involved dad. He told me he was banned from 2 of the local bars, so we'd have to go chill at his porch at his place afterwards. He tried to
The
pressure
boldness with which people reveal this information on dates.
Amazing.
Like
Yeah.
they're so bold. Like best foot forward, my guy.
And
like,
also, you already said at the beginning of the date, like you're concerned for your roommates stealing your stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm like, you want to take me back to this place
Thank
that you
you.
don't feel comfortable at? No,
Thank
thank you.
Thank you. He tried to pressure me with doing shots and even tried to rope the waiter into bringing shots to me, thinking if they were there, I wouldn't be able to resist. The cherry on top of this evening was the loud, spirited, theatrical recitation of The Smoke Off by Shel Silverstein.
what?
Oh, God.
Every time he paused to breathe, I'd say, okay, that's great. But
Why?
he'd just keep going. It's a really long poem.
What a weird
Other-
choice.
Other patrons were staring. He got a round of applause, I think mostly because everyone was glad he finally shut the fuck up.
Listen, my fight or flight is engaged.
Ugh.
Like the secondhand embarrassment. You
Dying.
know, I cannot handle cringe. I cannot handle like
My
that
face?
kind of the anxiety,
Dying.
the sweat.
Oh,
People
So
that
sweaty.
perform in non-performance settings make me very anxious as well. I have to say, it's not a thing that I like.
Me either.
I put that at the same level as bad improv. Like,
you know, something that keeps me up at night.
It's like a flash mob.
Whenever I was in like doing a lot of theater as a teenager in Springfield, I remember distinctly going with a big group, right? Like obnoxious theater people.
Oh no.
And like a guy who like he was like one of the only straight guys in the theater. So like every girl had a crush on him. There was always one, right?
Yeah.
Totally.
And we were in a coffee house sitting at like on the couches in the coffee house. And he pulled out a guitar and started playing it. And we all started singing.
Yeah.
And we had to be told by the people who worked there. They were like,
no.
Yeah, I'm so sorry, but like we need you to put that away. Like, you guys can't sing in here. You have to stop.
I feel like we just
keeps me awake.
A secret code that just broke Keegan. She was like, wait, that happened.
Repressed memory.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Oh no. They're like, please do
please,
not.
we cannot.
No.
We can't have this. The customers are complaining. Your version of Wonderwall is not it's not it, bro.
But no, because you're theater kids, it's like definitely
No, it was definitely like Rent or something. It was definitely like Seasons of Love. Let's be honest.
Oh no.
On the guitar, the acoustic guitar.
You're like, Mr. Mistopheles.
No.
Andrew Lloyd Webber on the acoustic guitar.
You guys know I had never listened and or heard and or watched Cats before the movie.
What?
Oh, that's a bad first
honey.
experience for you.
Oh.
I'm so sorry.
Oh, it's so good. Otherwise,
I love Cats, but
One
I
of my
would never.
favorites.
I have not seen the movie.
I
to
really
this day.
do not understand the story.
It has no plot, Christina. It has no plot. It's meant to be enjoyed as a visual spectacle. Like it's
with
not
good music
like
and fun and
yeah, come on.
Yeah, that movie was a fucking fever dream, dude. Honestly.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I told you they were talking about doing Starlight Express. I'm like, or something like that, right? Didn't I say that? I don't know. Anyway, I'm going to finish the story. He insisted I go back to my place go back to his place where he was crashing on a couch surrounded by thieves per his own admission and cuddle him because he was so lonely. I finally had to just get in my car and drive away. He rode after me on his bike for as long as he could. Wait. He's
Hot pursuit.
42.
Oh no.
Oh no. Honey, that is not a good look.
That's so embarrassing. You look in your rear view and he's just pedaled to the metal.
No.
Like, oh no.
Oh, don't let me get this light.
Fucking does it have a basket on it?
A little bell. Bring,
Hello,
bring, bring, bring.
He's got that big backpack on that's with all his
Oh,
belongings
God.
in it.
Oh.
42, sir.
Oh, honey.
Oh. All right, who's up next?
That's me. Okay, this one's fairly short. It's a visual that comes into my head that makes it so funny to me. And so follow me on this short journey.
Amazing.
Okay. Blind date met from a website. We agreed to meet at a public place. I got to the restaurant a bit early and waited in the foyer. It's one of those places. The guy
foyer.
had talked a good game about his career, what kind of car he drove, etc. I saw someone roll up in an old beater. Not really a problem. I've driven those. He gets out and he's not quite as he had claimed. Nonetheless, I go in with him. We get a table and place our dinner order. I had been completely honest about myself, but it became incredibly obvious that he had not. At some point before our entrees arrived, he excused himself to go to the bathroom, located behind us and opposite the front door. Moments later, I see him sprint to the front door as he realized there wasn't a rear exit for his escape. I look out the window to see the beater car leaving the parking lot. I just see
How long do you think he waited in the bathroom?
And then he just finally just ran and is like skirting out of the fucking parking lot. Oh my God. And she's sitting there like, okay. I call.
Also, you're leaving me? You're leaving me?
Right.
I called the waiter over and explained that my date had run out.
Literally.
And asked him,
Literally.
And asked if his entree had been made yet. I asked if I could have mine to go and asked for the bill. The super nice waiter removed the other entree from the bill, but included it in my to-go bag.
Oh, that's
a
nice.
real.
Mm.
The guy completely ghosted me, and I never got any kind of explanation for why he split like that. I can only assume that he realized I wasn't buying any of his nonsense and was not going to be going home with him that night and decided to resume his game elsewhere.
He saw his wife's friend there.
It's moments like this. It's moments like this that, like, if this had happened to me and you were to ever catch me, like, dissociating, I'd be thinking about that. Like, that's what I'm doing. Like, if I'm, like, looking out into the abyss, like, blankly, that's the thing I'm thinking about. It's like, why did that guy
But that's what's so
me?
funny to me is, like, I can clearly picture someone legit sprinting out of a restaurant to, like, escape or whatever. It's
maybe he shit his pants. That's where my head went. I'm like, he pooped himself.
I mean, it's been known to happen on this podcast. It's been known to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, when people do random shit like this, I know this isn't an advice podcast or what have you, but you gotta. That's all about that person.
Mm-hmm.
That has nothing to do with you.
Zero
That's
to do
right.
with you. Mm-mm.
Let that roll off your back and fucking talk shit about it to everybody because
right.
it's funny.
You can't wear that badge. It's not yours.
Nope.
Okay, so this was an email that was sent to us by a listener, and it says, "So I think this is the absolute worst date of my life.
Oh, no.
I met this guy, we'll call John, at a pool party in Phoenix. I had just moved to Denver and mentioned that I was going to hike one of the major trails in Phoenix the next day, and he invited himself along. I asked if he had hiked before, and he said yes. A little weird for him to invite himself, but he was experienced, and it's a popular trail, so I wasn't worried about my safety, and I wasn't good at saying no. Okay, I feel you.
Yeah.
There's the crux of this all.
Mm-hmm. He picks me up the next morning. I know, bad idea. And he is drinking a bottled Starbucks Frappuccino. Those are delicious, but you really should not be drinking super sugary dairy-based drinks before a hike. I asked if he had breakfast, and he said that was his breakfast.
Oh, no,
you've
honey.
never hiked, honey. That's not.
I asked him if he brought any snacks or water, and he proudly shows me the other 2 bottled Frappuccinos that he brought.
All I can see in my head is that Anchorman, like, milk was a bad choice.
In Phoenix, which is like hot as the earth. Like
it is the sun.
It's the sun, exactly.
You're hiking on the sun.
Yes.
And you brought sugar milk,
Yes.
sir.
Yes. Caffeinated sugar milk, which is just like, oh, okay.
He's going to shit himself on this hike.
He's definitely going to puke.
Yeah.
I should have stopped this date then, but I just rolled with it. We start hiking, and he tells me that he likes to read, so I ask him if he had read a few of my favorite books. He had not read any of them and proceeded to get mad at me for asking because he had not gone to school in America, so of course he had not read them. None of them were books I'd read in school. I ask him what he likes to read, and he cannot name a single book.
Oh.
So, what? Like, here's the thing about that. Why say you like to read then? Like, you're the one who said you like to read. Just say something else. Like, you think it makes you sound smart, but the thing is, like, anybody who's going to be impressed by that is going to ask you what you're reading.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
So now we just
lie better.
Yeah, lie better. Right. So now we just walk in silence. A quarter of the way up the trail, he starts throwing up because, of course, bottled Frappuccinos are not good for hiking in the desert. I give him some of my water and dried dates to help settle his stomach. He doesn't say thank you and complains that the dates are chewy.
What do you have, dentures in, bitch? Yeah.
We get 3/4 of the way up to the top of the mountain, and he is looking rough. So I ask if he wants to go back down. Now he starts making fun of me for being lazy, and I'm tempted to just leave him on the trail, but he's my ride, so I can't.
Wow.
Like, I'll leave you here to die. Like,
Yeah. Wow.
This desert is unforgiving.
At this point, yeah, I don't care how expensive the Uber is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We make it to the top, and he starts loudly complaining because he thought that there would be a pool or a restaurant on top of the mountain.
Is he what?
He's like, I thought we
What
were
the fuck is he talking about?
literally.
He's never hiked ever.
And what kind of person does all that work just to see some crappy view? It's literally a person who's never hiked ever. Like, that's the whole point. The whole point is the view.
Wow.
Everyone on the peak is staring at us while he makes a scene. At this point, I was praying the ground would open up and swallow me. We walk down in silence after. I break the silence and ask him where he has hiked before because I have to know. He says he's walked on a trail to a petting zoo once.
Oh, no.
This guy clearly had no idea what hiking was when he invited himself along. We finally make it back down the mountain and part ways. It was such a disaster that I never expected to hear from him again. Against all odds, he texts me 2 days later to grab a coffee. I'm a huge pushover, so I say yes. He then says, a friend of his is going to come and will give me a 30 to 45 minute presentation about a job opportunity.
No.
I am gonna die.
Oh, no.
He's shelling
He's
Lululemon or something.
Young's Living Oils. Whatever.
Oh no.
This is
no.
finally too far. And I tell him no, and he proceeds to try and guilt me into it. So I block him. Was it just an elaborate scheme to try and get me to join his MLM? Was it a date? Was it both? I don't know. I would love to hear anyone else's stories about MLMs because I cannot be the only one that something like this happened to. You are not. We have definitely had stories like that before.
You know, MLM ones are my favorite.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I haven't had a date, but I did have something when I was waiting tables. There was a regular that was just like, you're just like really good at your job. He was like, you know, have you ever thought about like different career options and stuff? I'm like, yeah, you know, I definitely has.
No.
He's like, well, I'm working with a company. I think you'd be great. Like, let's sit and have a conversation. The fucking thing was a MLM. It was like Herbalife or something.
Oh,
and I was
my
like,
God.
so disappointed.
Yeah, you're like, oh, a new pathway. I got into a really weird situation. I think I may have told it in the early days of this podcast, but yeah, like a guy that I met while I was working, probably editing a podcast episode in a Starbucks on my lunch break.
Yeah.
Yeah, did I ever tell you about that guy?
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
Yes.
Oh
I mean,
my
and
God.
I am like, I can relate so much to that person's story because I'm such a pushover that like I totally sat through not only, oh God, this is so embarrassing. Not only did I sit through his entire spiel, I gave him my phone number and then he called me and then I talked to him on the phone for like 15 minutes.
Oh, honey.
And then I ran into him at Target like a couple weeks later.
Oh,
I'm trying to like snake out of like aisles, ducking behind fake potted plants, you know, like horrifying.
Oh, that's awful.
Oh my God. Ugh.
You will fail. So what? Everybody does. But your gym, your watch, your yoga pants, they pretend you won't. So when you miss a day, eat the pancakes. Give up on a workout? You failed? Seriously, what the hell? We're Body. We've been a part of that too, but not anymore. At Body, we're rejecting perfection and embracing reality. Not in a Pizza Monday kind of way, in a loving your whole life kind of way. In a, this workout is fun and it's okay if I take a week off kind of way. In an, I'm eating healthy and it's okay if I indulge kind of way. In a, I like myself no matter what kind of way. Yeah, you will fail. We all will. But we're not going to let that be the end. You see that? We're already making progress. So let's keep going. We are Body. Start your free trial at body.com. That's BODI.com.
Well, on that note, Are you guys ready?
Yes.
For my Tainted Love story?
Mhm.
Yes.
It took me forever to find one. I found this, walked away from it for a second, and then I came back. I was like, no, this is pretty interesting. The reason I'd walked away from it initially is because it wasn't chock full of a lot of information. Like, it was hard to find information. I had to really like dig for it, and I'm lazy. Because I've started back to school
You're
this
busy.
week. So
You're
I'm
not
like, what
lazy.
can
I
do
get
that's
it.
simple?
Yeah.
And I did not pick something simple.
Yeah.
I got a lot of my information from Murderpedia. I got some information from a story written in the Daily Record by a Reg McKay called Murder at Kinky Cottage.
Oh.
I read an article at Press and Journal about a podcast that was made recently about this whole thing by a guy named Ben Hendry, and another article in the Daily Record also kind of about the story, but also some of the revelations that have come to light in this podcast by Anna Burnside. The podcast, of course, I'm so flaking on the name. Because of course, of all the things I wrote down, I didn't write it down because I didn't actually listen to the podcast. But there is a whole serial podcast about this story, which I'm kind of interested in listening to now. But here is the story of Maxwell Garvie. Maxwell Garvie he's a farmer. He's from the Aberdeen area in a place called Kincardineshire, Scotland. So this all takes place in Scotland. Maxwell Garvie is like pretty well to do. Like, he's not like we think of farmers as like, oh, like some guy who wears overalls and like Carhartt hats. This is kind of on a much grander scale. He's wealthy and he is good looking guy, and he really more so manages his farm than like it doesn't seem like he's Mr. Day-to-day chores guy.
Not like working the land day in, day out. Right.
Okay. He's not waking up with a rooster crow type of farmer. Got it. So he meets Sheila at this dance in Stonehaven. She's described as beautiful, really smart, just real. She's really stunning, beautiful woman. They met. She was a former housemaid for the royal family at the Balmoral Castle. So, beautiful people with beautiful lives get married. It's 1955. They get married. They end up having like 3 kids. He's extremely successful in his career. And with his success, he loves to splurge on himself. He's into like fast cars, planes. This is his life. He loves, he loves the thrill, excitements of life. And he loves
a lot of things.
Yes, he does.
Yes, he does. I love that you're doing this story.
Do you know
I'm
this?
so excited. Mm-hmm.
Oh, shit.
Oh, yeah.
It sounds very familiar to me as well.
I couldn't find anything on it. So I feel like
It's the fact that she used to be she used to work in
Balmoral
castle.
Yeah. But
Mhm.
I feel like there's something I've watched on this. It's
really, I looked everywhere specifically for videos because I was like,
it's like a YouTube thing. I went down a YouTube hole and I think it came up, but this story is juicy.
It is juicy. Sheila, again, also living kind of this life of luxury. They have like 3 kids. They travel a lot. They live a wealthy life. He flies planes. They go everywhere. She dresses immaculately, has wonderful style. It's the thing that people always recognize about her. She's beautiful already, but she also dresses impeccably. Maxwell's wild streak is not just in his taste of flying and things like that, but he is known locally as the Flying Farmer. It's around 1964, though, that he starts to develop a very curious behaviors, becoming more and more interested in pornography and nudism. And we're heading into the swinging 60s, and they have the money and the lifestyle to go along with it. So he is like
key parties.
Yes, he is.
I can't
so
think of
into it.
anything more awkward than having key parties with your friends.
Oh
like,
my God. Could you?
It has
no,
to be
absolutely
so uncomfy.
How would you ever look at each other again?
Never. You have to do that stuff with strangers. You can't do that with like
Thank you.
people you're going to see
That
again.
is
Stop
exactly
it.
fucking right. That's exactly fucking right. Anyway, he ends up being so into this whole like nudist thing that he even built like a nudist club on their land. He bought like a small cottage near on their property, and it was literally they called it the Kinky Cottage. His sexual demands, though, were just increasing more and more. And so did his appetite for things like, initiating orgies. So, yeah, not just being a nudist was like, that's just the tip of the fucking iceberg. He's like, nah, let's go ahead and take this a little bit farther.
Because being a nudist isn't inherently sexual,
that's
right? Like,
no.
That's absolutely right. But he was like, it's not good enough to just see everybody naked. I also want to be fucking all of you.
Want to get up in there, get up
and
in
I
all
want you
that.
to be fucking everyone, and I want to fuck everyone, and we're all fucking.
Wow, it's a lot of energy.
The 60s were
the 60s.
a time.
Woo.
Well, and this was really, not at all something Sheila was into. Sheila was really like, this is not what I signed up for. Like, it's one thing, I guess, to be kind of a nudist or whatever, but like she was like not really interested in any of these kind of sex parties and stuff like that. But
you got to have some combos with your spouse prior to going into the lifestyle. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No,
or you got to
totally.
split up. You can't just one of you can't just be like, well, I'm doing it.
Come over to the Kinky Cottage and watch me fuck a bunch of people.
That.
The Kinky
I
Cottage.
hate it. The Kinky Cottage. I fucking hate it.
I can like see it written in like that Ray Dunn handwriting.
Oh, gross.
No. It was after some years, though, of cajoling and grooming, really, that he ends up pretty much forcing his naked wife at 32 years at the time into the room of a 22-year-old Brian Tevendale. It's Brian Tevendale. To tell you a little bit about him, he had been a hand. He'd been working out at the farm on weekends, and seems in a relationship that may already have been taking place between he and Maxwell. Like they may have already had some affairs. It seems like he didn't have necessarily a preference per sex. Like he was just really into sex and was guys, girls, whatever. He was really just into it. He made it so that basically it almost became like a game where they would flip a coin to see who was going to fuck his wife. But she, after all of this cajoling and whatever, finally was like conceded a pretty forced concession to have sex with Brian.
That's not enthusiastic consent. So
No.
It doesn't count. You don't get to.
She did not walk in there and was like, "Yay!"
No, you don't bully somebody into a situation like that.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
Once Brian and Sheila had crossed that line, though, it had opened up doors, and Maxwell was ready to turn his party of 3 into 4. He's already having a bit of a wild party thing, but this is the first time Sheila's involved. Now that Sheila's involved, he's like, fuck this threesome shit. I'm ready to add one more person. Enter Trudy Burse, Brian's sister.
Stop it. Stop it.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
Immediately.
Brian's sister.
Maybe I don't know this story because I feel like either I blocked that from my memory, or I don't know this because I feel like I would have remembered that.
Maxwell is really into Sheila. They start like a pretty heavy affair, but it's the 4 of them that have sex the most. It's really meant to be a foursome with your sister, Brian. Ew. But then also Trudy's husband is like, yeah, no, I'm in. So Fred, the police officer constable, is like,
What?
I hate it.
I bet Christmas was real uncomfortable.
I hate it.
Like
I hate
Christmas
it.
must have been
I
really
hate
uncomfortable.
it.
Like
Yeah.
you're with your brother-in-law.
Imagine Easter.
Orgies are for strangers. That's Keegan's
Orgies
quote.
are for
That's right.
strangers. That's right.
That's
right.
rules. That's
Mhm.
just facts.
Virginia is for lovers. Orgies are for
That's
strangers. This is the way
That's
this
right.
goes.
Fred, her constable husband, would join in sometimes, and they would include other women, to even things out. But it was, after years of constant gaslighting and, the torturous ways in which Maxwell's pleasures became really too much for Sheila. Finally, she's just like, you know what? I have had enough. And she has fallen for Brian. I mean, she was forced together with him, and she kind of started to be able to rely on him. She started to become a little, I don't want to say dependent, but like she started to develop feelings for him. She wanted to get away from Maxwell, who seriously was manipulative and controlling and gaslighting, so.
Well, I don't know if going with a guy who's totes okay with having an orgy with his sister and his brother-in-law is the best choice. However, there are many, many stories like this where the husband or like the man in the relationship in like a heteronormative relationship wants to open it up because he wants to like get freaky. And then his wife is like, or partner is like, actually, I could just leave you,
Yeah.
So
I actually prefer this scenario a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
You asked for it. Yeah. I mean, but they do end up running away on a couple occasions with Brian. And it's, every single time Maxwell comes home, convinces her that Maxwell goes to convince her to come home, saying that she's going to lose her children because she's mentally unstable and an adulterer.
Wow.
Yuck.
Wow.
Yuck.
Yeah. So the gaslighting control is
disgusting.
Still in heavy effect because she's got 3 kids that she doesn't want to lose,
There's a movie coming out with Claire Foy. Have you seen the previews for it? It's called like A Very British Affair or something along that lines, but it's similar. Like they were having these wild sex parties or whatever in the 60s, and he did the same thing to her in court. Was pretty much like, you can't have custody of your kids because you're a slut. Basically, he's like slut shaming her or whatever. But yeah, it looks really good. It's coming out soon, or it might even already be out, but it has Claire Foy in it. So
I love Claire Foy.
Me too.
Interesting. It does sound like it's kind of like right in this wheelhouse.
Right. It's happening in England around the same time.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm sure that happened a lot. I'm sure it happened a lot because the expectations for mothers and fathers and women and men have always been
different.
So vastly different. Yeah.
It's when on the 19th of May, Maxwell's sister hadn't seen her brother, though, in 5 days. She had contacted the police to report him missing. But it wasn't until August 16th that the police discovered Maxwell's body in the underground tunnel of Lauriston Castle. Sheila had broken down and told her mother that on May 14th, she had let her boyfriend, Brian Tevendale, and his coworker, Alan Peters, in to murder her husband. He wasn't going to let her escape. He wasn't going to let her leave. And she really felt like her only option was for her to be with Brian and for her to get out of this manipulative relationship was to,
and to be able to have her kids. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was Brian's subsequent confession, though, that actually led police to Maxwell's body. At some point, Maxwell's once lover, Trudy, and her husband, Fred, actually played a part in covering it up. Remember, Fred is a fucking constable.
Ugh.
They were never charged in their portion, but they had helped burn the bloodied mattress and the clothes. I mean, so they were also involved. The fact that many people, though, also were like willing to involve
That's what I was thinking.
to help her.
Yeah.
Says a fucking lot.
Yeah, I'm like, they must have really disliked this man.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think long term, I think initially it was one thing, but then they saw how the long term of it was and what he was doing and how he was manipulating everyone.
I feel like so many tainted loves just boil down to stop treating people like property. Like stop acting like you own people.
Yep.
Just cut it out.
Well, neither Fred nor Trudy, though, were charged conveniently for their part in the cover up. But Alan Peters, also the friend, Brian's friend from work, was also proven not proven guilty is the way they state it. So he was not charged. Well, he was charged, but he was released. But both Sheila and Brian were both given life sentences, but released after only 10 years serving. So that is the insanely wild ride of the kinky cottage.
Oh, God.
It was a spectacle at the time, and people would literally line up outside of the courtroom and like for hours, starting at like 2:00 in the morning to wait for the trial to begin. This is, you know, the 60s, and the, you know,
People love
it had all the
stories
scandal.
that involve sex scandals. That's for
Yeah.
sure.
And it's so hard when you are in a long-term relationship because you are going to grow and change, and it's so hard when someone changes in a way that you're not comfortable with to really like take the time, rationalize it, and make a plan to leave. You have to learn what your boundaries are and know yourself well enough to be okay with bouncing when things get bad. It's just it makes me so sad for her that she was bullied into this life that she didn't. I mean, it's very obvious she was not interested in any of this activity at all, and it's so traumatizing.
Well, and the thing of it is that even when she was able to come to terms that she wanted to leave,
right?
She wasn't able to.
Right.
So, I mean, she literally had, stakes, like her children.
Yeah.
You know, being a mother was at stake.
Yeah, you know, we talked about this last week when we talked about Lisa Bonet and Jason Momoa splitting up, is like, maybe some things aren't supposed to last forever. Like, you are going to grow and you are going to change, and maybe you're going to become different people, and maybe those people don't actually fit anymore.
Right.
And like, that seems like it's what happened here. Like, this guy changed in a way that wasn't, he went in a direction she wasn't willing to follow, right? And like, that's fine. Either you work your way through it, or you have to be okay with understanding that you're in a different phase of your life now.
Yeah. Normalize conscious uncoupling.
I mean, honestly, though.
But for real, truly, it's true.
Yeah.
Be mature enough to know that like another person doesn't belong to you.
Yeah.
Right. And they're allowed to change their life in any way that makes them feel more fulfilled. And you can either adjust to that or make the decision that this actually doesn't work for me.
Right.
That's how that should go. We're adults.
Yeah. Yeah.
Communication. That's
What?
weird.
What? Huh?
Well, what are you guys watching this week?
Well, we already sneakily said that we were watching Yellow Jacket.
Oh my gosh.
But God, it's so fucking good.
Really, really enjoyed that show. I really want to look, like I was telling you, Cassie, I'm confident that there's got to be like women on the writing team, just how much they're able to nail like navigating teenage girl friendships, connections, hierarchies, all of that. It's so it's such a good show.
It's really good. It actually, too, it's so funny to me because I think that you watch it and you're like, I'm like looking at all the things that are happening in the 90s, and I'm like, this is literally, I graduated in 97. So it takes place in 1996, that time period does. And I'm like, this is 100%. Like, I think that we have like this idea of what that looks like, but these girls look like they're teenagers from today.
Mm-hmm.
And it's true because the teenagers of today definitely
they're emulating that style. Certainly.
Yeah, it's so that style.
Yeah. Well, I have not started Yellow Jackets. It's right up my alley, so I need to get my hands on some Showtime so that I can watch that. But like I said, I've been in a book hole. I finished 3 books since we recorded last, and I'm going to finish a 4th book today. I'm on track. I'm going to finish it today. But I have been watching our friend Michael Scotti. Shout out to Michael.
Yes.
Edited Archive 81. He is an editor, and he has been editing on that show, and it went to #1 on Netflix in the US this last week, which is huge deal.
That's
We're
huge,
so proud of him. So I have been watching that. I think I've watched the first 4 episodes of it. It is spooky. It is weird, and I am really enjoying it. So if you're looking for something that is that kind of vibe, that's kind of like, ooh, maybe a satanic cult sort of situation.
Ooh.
And like a weird parallel time situation, you might enjoy that show. So give it a watch.
Listen, I'm over here shouting from the rooftops for Scotty, but
it is not your
this
thing.
Is not for me.
It is not, and that's okay. You can support him in other ways. We don't question your support for Michael at all. It's scary.
Chris is watching it.
It's freaking Anthony out. So he's like, you're not scared, and I'm like, I'm dead inside. But Cassie, you probably wouldn't like it.
Oh man.
God.
Well, hey, if you've got something that we should read, something that we should watch, if you have gone on a bad date recently, go to our one-stop shop of a website. It's myworstdatepodcast.com. And we love you so much. Cheers.
This is a Glass Box Media Podcast.